Hey, welcome everybody to Beyond the Booth with Phil Harris and Randall Cunningham. We got a special show tonight. We're going to start with an introduction, kind of a new sport, and something that you're going to see here quite often. Phil, of course, over to the right, Phil Harris from WQSB is here with me. I'm Randall Cunningham from RiverCity-Media, of course. And in the middle, from Hixson High School, the newest member, I guess, a newest sport to Hixson High School, the head coach of the girls flag football team, Coach Mitchell Doxsee. Welcome aboard, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on tonight. It's a privilege.
Well, we do this every Monday, and we talk to coaches all around the region, and and usually it's boys football, and that's how most people recognize what. How did this evolve? I know it started in the Nashville area, but it's grown quickly and into the Chattanooga area.
It's, my first introduction to flag football was actually with my youngest son. Middle Valley has a flag football league where they do K through 8. And I never really knew much about flag football. I played a little bit in college, just rec and that kind of stuff. But it started to grow. Like a lot of these young kids just came out and parents were really happy with it, because the kids were learning route running and skills, how to catch the ball and all that kind of stuff. Not so much the blocking and everything and tackle, but what the parents liked about it was that it was low contact. It was a lot of the signs coming out about concussions and that kind of stuff. They really enjoyed the fact they didn't have to worry about that. I know for me, it was a relief. My son just started tackle this year in 5th grade, but having that skill building was awesome. So that was my first intro to flag football. Last year, the Titans had started a kind of season in Midwestern Tennessee, Nashville, Middle Tennessee, like Nashville and even Knoxville. So they're really pushing this sport. I don't know if you recall this summer, but the Disney Channel actually had the National Flag Football Championship League. Now they were playing 5-5. But this has really started to become a phenomenon throughout the country, where these leagues are being set up. And now the Titans and other NFL teams, like the Atlanta Falcons, are doing it in Georgia. They're doing it here in Hamilton County, the Titans. I know that like Dalton Academy in Dalton, Georgia, has their first year of girls flag football. Heritage High School. We started it here in Hamilton County this year. So it really was an initiative by the Titans to get this started. In 2028, I believe it is, there's actually going to be girls flag football in the Olympics. They're going to have a trial period, and then in another 4 years, they'll actually compete for it. So it's really starting to become a thing. There are D2 and D3 colleges that are starting up flag football teams for girls. It really helps with the Title IX requirements too, so they're really starting to take that on. But what struck me the most is that we had to find out last year, and I wasn't part of this starting part of it, because the Titans contacted Hixson High School too in Hamilton County. Tim James, the head athletic director of Hamilton County, put it out to the schools. But what struck me the most is when we had an interest survey about it, we had 54 girls who were interested in flag football. So that told us that there was a need for this sport at Hixson High School. We needed to offer this to these young ladies to get out there and start playing. So that's how it started. It just steamrolled over the past few years.
Coach, from my perspective as a parent who is happy to be involved with this, my journey, I've been around sports all my life. I've been around boys football. I've called high school football for 30-something years. But the one thing that hit me was an email that I got from you just the other day. You're starting with not a lot of equipment, or will at least have some equipment. You're starting from ground level zero.
Pretty much ground level. Now, the Titans did send some flags. They sent a ladder. USA Football sent some footballs, but I'll be honest, they're not quality footballs. So I wanted these ladies to really have the experience of a good program, quality equipment, that kind of stuff. Now, Nike was nice enough to front the uniforms this year. So we have good Nike uniforms. They're really nice. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for these ladies, when they walk onto the field, to be well represented, feel proud about what they're playing with, and feel proud about their program. So, yes, we are trying to build that up. That includes skills, that includes practices, taking it seriously, but it also includes the financial aspect of it too. There are things that, materials we need for games. We've got to have enough money in our account to make sure that we can cover, the referees if our attendance doesn't pay for the referees. So when you're starting pretty much from zero, there's a lot of things that need to happen on the financial side too.
And we have in our scrolling right now, we do have a girls fundraiser, for lack of a better word, Coach, that's available that you can help us. It's also posted on RiverCity-Media. It is there. It will stay there for the duration of it. It also has a picture of the new uniforms, Phil. Hey, they got nice looking uniforms, Phil, if nothing else, to start with. They look great. So all the fundraising aspects, just go to RiverCity-Media, click the link, and it'll take you straight there. Phil, would you like to take over and ask some questions? I heard Molly, your female, barking a little bit, so maybe you can take it from there. Coach, if you have just a light you can flip on in that room.
Yeah, I'm getting my son to flip it on. It got dark.
There you go.
There we go.
We can see you much better now. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, Coach, I want to take it back to the basics. Now, I've played a little flag football. We did when I was in elementary school. We had flag football. We played. Give us the basic rules, because, flag football is not regular football. How do the rules different? How many players do you have on the side? And that type of thing. Kind of break it down basically for us.
All right. So what we're doing is we're doing a 7-on-7 format. Okay. So we'll have 7 players on offense, 7 players at defense. Okay. Rushing can happen 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. Okay. Every player on the field on offense is eligible to receive the ball. You only need 3 people on the line of scrimmage at a time. You can screen block behind the line of scrimmage. It is up to the defender to avoid contact with the blocker, but the blocker cannot step in to the defender, if that makes sense. So those are some of the basic rules. Our field is 40 yards wide. From end zone to end zone, it's 80 yards. And unlike tackle football, every 20 yards is a new set of downs. So the field will actually, you'll see every 20 yards the line across the field. And if I recall, the 3, the 3rd, the 10, and the 16, I believe, or the 14 is also marked off. So when you actually get the ball first on offense, you start on the 14. So you only have to make it to the 20-yard line to get your first set of downs. So it's not a 1 in 20 situation. There is no actual punting, so there's no special teams in this league. You just declare the punt. Each half is 20 minutes running clock. So the games are actually usually pretty fast paced, quick. all that kind of stuff. So you have to manage your time really well because you don't want to be caught on defense for the first 15 minutes of the first half. So we're going to try to work all those things out. So you have to be careful with the clock. But that's the basics of the rules right there. So, we use the youth size football.
What do you have a time clock, possession clock, where you've got like so many seconds to snap the football?
Yeah, 25 seconds, I believe it is. Yes. We went through, this is so new. We had our rules meeting last night. I had TSSAA rules that were just given to me a few weeks ago because up until that time we were using USA football rules, I believe it was. So when they say this is an emerging sport in the state of Tennessee, this is an emerging sport in the state of Tennessee. Right now, many of the people, most of them are playing in spring. We're playing in the winter. Some played in the fall. However, when this becomes the official sanctioned sport, which we're in the process now, everyone in the state, once we have a state championship for divisions and everything, everyone in the state will have to play the same season.
Okay. Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, say you're on the defensive side of the ball, of course, you've got to pull a flag for a tackle. Do you have to show the official the flag, or does he just kind of make judgment?
Well, usually what happens is the way I'm teaching the girls to do it is don't hold on to the flag. Drop the flag where you pull it, because there can be a little confusion about that as to exactly where the flag was pulled. So my thing, what I'm trying to teach them is to drop the flag where you pulled it. I've not seen anything in the rules where we need to hold the flag up or anything like that. I've had a couple girls do that during practice. That's fine, as long as they stop it where they pulled it. But what I'm trying to get them to do is, so we can get the ball set correctly by the refs, is to drop it where you pull it. And that's
okay. Well, when you score, Coach, is it 6 points, and do you have a conversion?
6 points. Okay, so you can either go for a 1 point conversion from the 5-yard line or a 2 point conversion from the 10-yard line. So, we were told last night that 5 yards within the end zone, or 5 yards within the end zone is no run zone. Although I do have a question on that because I don't see that in the rule book. So that changes my plans a little. That was not marked out on the schematics. I've got to come up with a few more plays. So just for those close calls like that.
Well, when you're designing your offense, are you going to try to be balanced running and passing, or is it just kind of trying to find a mismatch?
No, I'm going to try to be balanced very much with it. I do believe, especially in flag football, run plays are helpful, but more of the trick plays, your jet sweeps, your reverses, kind of your flea flickers, that kind of stuff. They're helpful, but I also want to run. I want to try to run a long offense too. I want the short plays, I want the long passes, that kind of stuff. But right now I'm working with 2-3 quarterbacks. I haven't declared one as the starter yet, so I've got to work within their abilities. But I'm also not opposed to using a 2 quarterback system if need be, for the situation. So we'll see how it goes.
Of course, I know you've kind of told your story about how you got into this. Of course, it's always an adventure to coach young ladies. They're going to be emotional. They're going to play with passion. There's no doubt about that. Sometimes they get a little over emotional. I know that's going to be kind of the secret to kind of keep that bottled up because, at times young ladies can be a little can be vindictive sometimes, especially if they get an elbow, they're going to give one. So I guess the secret is working with young ladies to kind of sort of control that emotion.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to figure that out as I go along. So, But, let me tell you something about these ladies. I mean, first of all, they come out there dedicated every day. They're passionate, and they have the best time. They're like, I'm having so much fun. And I'm trying to be there and just be a hard ass sometimes and all that kind of stuff. But they're just having a good time. And I get drawn up in that fun because I'm having fun out there coaching too. Now, we want to win games. That's the goal. We want to build a strong, solid program at Hixson High School. But I'm having a great time out there. This is fun. This is fun for me. Going out and just working with these young ladies, it's really, lack of a better word, it's just fun.
Well, I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask one more question.
Yeah.
I was going to ask one.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, well, that's fine. You could go ahead. I just wanted to ask one more thing. Do you feel that, and I'll let Rick turn it over, do you feel like this is going to be a good spectator sport?
I do feel like it's going to be a good spectator sport. The thing is that flag football is much different than tackle. Usually it's more fast-paced. Especially once you get your offense cooking and the girls are able to run the plays and understand the plays and know what you're trying to accomplish, you can run a pretty quick offense. And it can almost be like a basketball game. Interceptions can happen at the drop of a hat. They can run back for a touchdown. These ladies can all of a sudden, you may give them a run play and then you open up the field and it's a long pass. It's exciting. You love to see it. I know that I've enjoyed watching it in the past, and I think if people will give it a chance, they will really get into it and start cheering for these young ladies. It's a fun sport. It's a fun sport to watch.
Go ahead, Randy.
Coach, to follow up a little bit with what Phil said, we've had a lot of basketball coaches over 3 years, and to a person, we always talk about the difference in girls basketball, boys basketball, but you still have to coach them in a certain way. Have you figured the method to kind of motivate your young ladies yet? Is it different than the young boys as far as getting them to perform on the field?
I think that it is. I think in the point that I'm trying to just figure this out as I go along too. I know where I want the program to be. I know how I want to get there. Sometimes I do have to divert from a plan or something like that. But these ladies are serious. They want to play. They want to win. A lot of these ladies already come from a sports background. They've played other sports in the past, whether it be soccer. I've got one girl who's a wrestler. I've got track athletes out there, and I've got a few who haven't done anything. So the competition is in them. But when I'm on the field, it's funny because I'm a different person on the field than I am in the classroom. And I think some of them who have me as a teacher are trying to rectify this Coach Doxsee they see on the film, because I don't like to lose. It's not something I want to do. I do want to go out there and have fun, but at the end of the day, I want them playing a good game. I use the old Nick Saban quote, as much as we may all cringe about Alabama, you're either going to feel the pain of discipline or the pain of disappointment. And I try to get that through, and that's very true. So either you feel the pain of discipline out here on this practice field and while you're playing, or you will feel the pain of disappointment. And I know which one I would rather feel. So I'm trying to instill that attitude into them while not getting rid of the fun element, if that makes sense. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, but down below, everybody, and on RiverCity-Media, and for the whole month, we are going to be running a fundraiser for these young ladies. So we're not going to interrupt the programming, and all the other programming is free. If you normally give to RiverCity-Media, give to this young ladies, give to the program. Don't want to make it about just that, but it's an important part of what we're trying to do here. Coach, I have one of your players living in the same house as me, so I'm going to make a comment. In the few weeks since we've started football, better eating, more attention to eating, more attention to rest, more attention to I need to take in this much water. No, don't put no sweets in my lunchbox. Is that something you are talking to these young ladies about?
Absolutely. My first day of conditioning, I can't tell you how many of these ladies told me they did not eat or they just had like a little something to eat the whole day and did not drink water. For lack of a better word, I jumped them because of that, because that's not acceptable. We talked about if you are truly going to be an athlete, you need to fuel your body, and you need to fuel your body with good food. We talked about calorie intake. I think with some of these young ladies, they are, especially with social media and TV and that kind of stuff, they're given improper body images that they should attain. Trying to attain some of those body images do not equate to what an athlete should be. An athlete needs to fuel her body. An athlete needs to eat the right things and does not need to be afraid of calorie intake. Of course, you want to regulate it to a certain extent, but you've got to feed your body to perform. If you do not do that, you're not going to be a good athlete. Nutrition equals athletic performance. And I'm glad to hear that message is getting through because it's so important.
Yeah, and Coach, and I want to, and talking about that also, it is very important. Calorie intake is important, especially young ladies like this, where they're going to burn it up anyway. Their metabolism is going to take care of that. But another thing that's not good for these young ladies and any athlete is sodas. Because you take a soda, it takes so much water to cleanse that out of your system. And really, I've heard a lot of people say that sodas will slow down your conditioning because they make you sluggish. They affect your joints. So, you want them drinking more water or anything that hydrates them. I'm sure, Gatorade ain't the greatest thing, but it does have electrolytes. It does have salt. It has the things that young people does need.
It does, and especially the sodium. I think they get plenty of sodium from the food if they'll eat. One of the things I'll recommend, especially if is smart water, quite honestly, not because it makes you smarter, but because it does hydrate and it has the electrolytes in it. And it doesn't contain the sugars that a lot of Gatorade and that kind of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, Gatorade, Powerade, all of that's great in a pinch. There's nothing the matter with it, moderation. If you're out there playing, 2 games, something like that, you need something, that's great, but overall, water is the best. The best thing you can do to hydrate yourself.
And of course, energy drinks are a no-no to me. I just do not think they're good for your system. They don't want young people to drink them anyway. And then all of a sudden, when you're 18, it's okay to drink them. Well, I just don't think they're good for anybody.
Especially
because I think that too much caffeine really slows down your system.
Mm-hmm. I need to take that advice for myself in the morning with my coffee, because if I don't have a couple, I'm crashing. So, but I'm not out there playing. I'm just doing my old man workouts and coaching. So there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to bring up a picture here of the uniform, and I love the uniform. And the first thing I thought of seeing this traditional Hixson colors. This just a great looking uniform for the girls to wear. With us playing in November and December, we might have to have some leggings underneath, but
absolutely, yes.
It is a Hixson traditional looking uniform down to the stripes. Was that something that you designed, or was that in place when you arrived?
It was in place. This is what Nike offered us. And we love it. I mean, quite honestly, it's a great uniform. It is a perfect uniform for Hixson. But I wish I could take credit for it. I picked out the colors, you know. you know, I had to pick out the right gold, you know, and I even had help on that. I believe I got Garrett calling to come up and look at it and make sure this is the right gold, right? As we were picking it out, and he said yes. But the actual uniform design, this is what Nike offered us, and we're grateful for it. So, but, you know, can't tell you how much money just the uniform saves us. You know, we'll be able to use these hopefully for several years before we have to replace them. So it's great.
Coach, we talked, and Phil, I'll come to you after this question. We talked a little bit about the need for more athletics in the girls' realm, and I was so impressed in talking and in the emails you've sent out. We have a collective group from other sports of young ladies. If I'm not wrong, we even have a couple of girls that are cheerleaders at some of the other school
We
events.
do, yes. Yeah,
And
we have cheerleaders. We have 4 cheerleaders on the team right now. And they're fast and they're athletic and they can catch a ball. So I've been very conscious, you know, because they're still in season. The girl wrestler is in season. So I've been very careful to try to work with those coaches to make sure those girls can be involved because they want to be involved. You know, and I asked one of the cheerleaders, you know, I brought her in. I was like, you shocked. I just want to be honest. This girl was in my class. And I knew she was a cheerleader, and she came out for a tryout, and I was stupid and prejudged her, and she knocked my socks off when she went out there. She had never really played before, but she did great. You could see the athletic ability, the speed, able to do the cuts and the routes, and I was like, this is awesome. But when I called her in and told her I make the team, I was like, so why did you come? You just didn't seem like the type. And she was like, well, it's my senior year. I wanted to do something different. I still want to cheerlead, but there was no way that I could walk onto the soccer team my senior year. No way I could walk onto the softball team. She said this was my opportunity. I said, I'm so glad you did. Honestly, you're awesome. I'm glad you did. So, you know, so it's really refreshing to hear that this is giving these ladies who play other sports this ability to get out here and do something different. So there you go.
That's a very similar story. My daughter danced throughout her young years, and as she gets older, you're not able to compete outside in dancing. And she ran track, and she desperately was looking for another sport. And this is a sport where she's not starting with a handicap like playing softball or something. Everybody's on an equal playing field.
Everybody's there. And when she came out, it was the same thing. The speed was there, the cuts were there, everything was there. When I did tryouts, I threw the football a little bit, but my main tryouts were cone drills and speed. I wanted to see how they could cut the cones. I wanted to see how fast they were. And that gave me an insight into their athletic ability. Everything else having to do with football, we have to work on, you know, but that's what you do. When you're building this type of program, you have to do that. So you've got to teach the skills. So, excuse me, I'm recovering from a cold that I had over fall break. So
Bill, why don't you go ahead? You have such more sports related questions. I'm going to get off in the weeds because I'm so excited. I mean, I'm a parent. It's hard for me as a parent to do an interview because I am incredibly excited for what I have seen in my daughter the last 3 weeks playing football. So I think for the program.
Yeah. Well, Randy, I think that, you know, and that kind of goes inside of what I was going to comment on, let you comment on, Coach, because you're a school teacher. You see this all the time. You know, it seems like social media, it don't seem like kids get out and date as much anymore. They don't hang out in public as much anymore. So it seems like a lot of schools, even junior colleges, are adding sports, high schools adding sports, and flag football is another one of those. You get some more kids out of the classroom, off the couch, away from social media, off those phones. And the biggest thing you want to get out of them is to socialize. If you're going to play flag football, you're going to have to communicate if you're going to be successful. A coach can carry you so far, but when you're out on that field, you have to be player driven, which means you have to communicate. So you've got some extra kids getting out and doing some things that's going to help them not only athletically, and it's going to help them academically, but it's going to help them socially.
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of the things we talked about today, we were doing a drill. I had to stop it. I was like, we've got to communicate. It really was a simple drill. I had two quarterbacks running with receivers in a line, and it was like, let the quarterback give you the route, you run the route, catch the ball. I mean, it was that basic, We were having trouble communicating routes. And part of that is that they don't know the routes yet, but they can't communicate. Sometimes it's hard, especially if they're not in your friend circle, to communicate with each other. And this is something that I've pushed, especially since we started working on defense. You got to communicate with each other. If you see a handoff in the backfield, if you see a sweep, you got to communicate who has that ball, because the rest of your defense needs to come off their player, and they need to go drive that person either out of bounds or help pull that flag, slow them down and help pull the flag, because you can't make any type of physical contact with the receiver, tackle, or anything. So you've got to kind of try to, I like to call it herding, so the girl who is on that person, you're kind of herding them into, but then you got to communicate to your other players to get over here and help me. You got to minimize the damage. So we're working on communication. And I don't know that communication is bad within the circle of people that they know, but they have a hard time communicating with people they don't know. So we're trying to learn that as a team. And yes, if I could get rid of cell phones, I probably would, especially during the school day, just go on by, see you, because I think it's the communication, and especially one-on-one.
Yeah, but but I think this helps, and it may give some young ladies an opportunity to move on and play at the next level. I know down here, Gadsden State and Northeast College have added softball, so you've got 25 kids at each school that's going to be playing sports that normally would be deciding, am I going to be a teacher or am I going to be a nurse? Well, now they get an opportunity to go play softball, so their horizon kind of broadens. They might decide to be a college coach. They might go into something totally different. They may go into radio. They may go into video. It spreads out the horizon, and I think that's what this will help too. And like you was talking about communication is important, even to make sure everybody's lined up properly. You got to have a couple of people that knows what everybody's position is to keep everybody lined up. And like you was talking about, you got to hem everybody up. Everything's got to stay in front of you. So communication is very important in that, because you got to know what the person's going to do beside you before you're going to be successful.
Yes, and that's true. And we are working on that communication element. We're working on all the things the quarterback should be communicating, the center should be communicating. Obviously, what the safety and the cornerback should be communicating. We're working on it, but it just takes time. To learn that language, it's a whole nother sport. It's a whole nother thing. And I'm learning a bunch of stuff myself as I go along, quite honestly. So.
Of course, I know you. I'm sure, Coach, you want to spread this around, but I think probably one of the most important things you want to teach these young ladies is accountability. You have to be accountable for yourself, because that's important. You can't blame the guy next to you, the girl next to you. You got to be accountable for yourself, because if you break down, so does everybody else.
Yes. Yeah. And we've started that in a lot of different ways. I had my first, what I call ticket on the field today after practice. One of the young ladies left her playbook on the field yesterday, and I picked it up. So there had to be some extra bear crawls and laps for that, because we don't do that. We bring our playbooks to every practice, and we sure as heck don't leave them laying around for other people to find. So it's not acceptable. So we're working on the accountability piece with that, and trying to make these young ladies accountable to each other too, And I guess, like you said, with the emotional part, there's a lot of different personalities on the team. And when I first had this team, I sat down and I said, look, I don't expect y'all that you all have to get along or like each other, but we're going to work together as a team. And, and I tried to point out to these ladies that we want this to be a successful year, because you are the inaugural football team for Hixson High School. There will only be one. And I said, I hope 20 years from now, 25 years from now, there's a picture of you in the school somewhere. And young ladies will walk by, and they will see that picture, and they will appreciate the legacy and the things that you built along the way that you started for them. That's really what I want to see. So we're learning that accountability piece. It's not about them, only about them. It's about team players around them, but it's also about the future generations to come who will play in this program too. We want to build something at Hixson that these girls can take pride in, that the community will look at and say, those are some great ladies. They play hard. They go out there. They give their efforts. So we want to build a program that lasts.
Yeah, definitely. So, and to add to that too, if these young ladies get along on the field, it will spread off the field too. Exactly. Is there some things you try to do to maybe team bond off the field? Because if you can get these young ladies to bond off the field, it will really help them on the field.
I'll be honest with you. There's nothing I've done with that yet. At this point, my focus has been really getting this program rolling and starting. And again, those off the field things often take financial resources to do it. So I would love to do something like that. I think that would be fun, but I just have not had time to work on that or to even implement anything like that yet.
Well, and it takes a little more of a staff, I'm sure, to help organize those types of things too, because you're kind of sort of show, and it's hard to do things like that. Well, in practice, do you have little competitions during practice where you kind of mount one against the other? Because that's good for young ladies too.
All the time. I try to implement that in every practice. Today we did a nice flag pulling drill where, and I'll try to explain it the best I can. The visual would be better, but basically I've got a 20-yard square. Okay. I've got 3 cones on the back corner of one of the square. And then I've got another 3 cones in front. Okay, on the front cones, I put 3 defenders. I have a number 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 there. On the other side of the square, I've got receivers. They have the ball. One receiver does. What I do is I call a number. So I call 2. Okay, so that defender has to run out. The receiver starts running across the 20-yard square to try to make a touchdown. That defender I called 2 runs out immediately to try to get the flag to start the herd to slow them down. The other 2 receivers have to run back almost like a suicide on the second cone, tag it, and then they run out to go help the other defender try to get the flag. So what this does is, 1, this teaches my receivers how to avoid multiple pulls, to try to avoid multiple pulls. It teaches my one defender who goes out basically that herding technique, go for that slant line, try to get the flag. If you can't, get them as close to the sidelines as you can, slow them down. And then it teaches the other two defenders to come out and help the other defender to get the flag. So it's actually pretty fast-paced, quick. We do that, of course, with the route running I was describing. I wound up putting 2 defenders on the receivers, and we also had a scrimmage today. So I broke the team up into defense and offense. I called the 3 plays that we've learned so far, and we run variations off of those plays. So in the scrimmage, I'm able to coach the different positions. My assistant coach is helping on defense, and so we're getting there. But obviously, I want them to have as much of that competition as we can. But yes, everything competition. One of my favorite competitions is called Queen of the Hill. Every player goes into about another 20-yard square, and the last one with a flag left is the winner. That's it. So that's it. No flag guarding. That's it. Stepping out of bounds and flag guarding, because you can't do that, will get you pulled out. But other than that, if you're the last one with the flag on, you win. So it just helps on those. It really helps on the dodges, because what you're going to see in flag football, you're going to see a lot of turns. You're going to see like a lot of shifting belly button stuff, because it's not like you're running into a tackle. You're trying to avoid the pull. So a lot of hit dips, a lot of turns, twists, dropping to the hip, that kind of stuff you can do, to try to get them off of that type of pull. So when we put them in a situation like that, those instincts just start kicking in, and they do that kind of stuff. So that's fun. I also do a version of Oklahoma's where I've got the runner and I've got the defender on each side. They're laying head to head, back to back across maybe about 15 yards from the field, and I've got the end zones where they can't run out. I just blow the whistle, and it's just full on. Either the runner avoids the pull or the defender gets the pull. So I like to have those type of competitions. So
go ahead, Ray. Coach, God, this sounds so much fun. That it just sounds inspiring. But let's talk about us, the adults that are here. How can we help the program? I know we've talked about trying to broadcast a game, which I plan on doing at some point here on
That would be awesome.
We are going to try to get some of the young ladies on here, maybe some of your leaders and seniors, and get them on here to get a little publicity. But what else can we do to support the program?
Talk to your friends, show up for games. So come out there, cheer them on, and support them. Work. Really, if your daughter is involved at Hixson or if it's Saudi, I don't care where it is. Get out there and really help them learn how to catch the ball and that kind of stuff. Work with them on some skills. Go out, throw catch, have that kind of stuff. Have fun with them. I think that this is a great, great thing, because especially, I don't know, I'm a boy dad, but I do hear from some girl dads at this age and in high school, things get difficult and that kind of stuff, especially with dating and drama and all that kind of stuff. So this is a sport where, a dad can go out with his daughter, reconnect, bond, it doesn't have to be anything different. Throw the ball with her, work on a couple skills, just bond and talk and, that kind of stuff. So this is really something. This is, not to exclude the mothers, because I know there's a lot of mothers out there who can throw the ball and that kind of stuff, and it's great for them to do that too. But I really think that this could be something special for a father and a daughter to bond with. I really believe that.
And football is one of my daughter's a freshman, and it's a hard time for these young girls. I am strictly a girl's dad, and sometimes as a girl's dad, you see them struggle to find a place that I got it from football. I got it from baseball. Just having those teammates and that connection, and I think that's going to be wonderful for these girls. Have you had much feedback from the other programs? And there's, I think, 10 in Hamilton County.
As far as what do you mean feedback? As far as like
how their practice is going, their numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. No, not yet. We do have a schedule. I've been in contact with some of the coaches. Some of the coaches did not get their team until yesterday because they had other sports going on. So obviously, that the ones like I couldn't get my soccer girls until after their season was over, and that's great. I totally understand that. Especially toward the end of the season, you don't want your soccer player out of practice getting injured and then not being able to play. So I get that. But a lot of coaches were in the same situation as I was. So really, the girls that were not involved in sports before, we just did a lot of conditioning because we couldn't really do anything until now. So we did conditioning, that kind of stuff, and then the soccer girls came over, and then we started working. We started getting it together, with that. But as far as like, I do know that Saudi, I think, is doing a JV team, but they're going to have to order more uniforms if they do that. And they're, I believe, if I'm not wrong, Signal Mountain may be doing a JV team too. But the fact is, to get the uniforms, they had to charge an extra fee for these extra uniforms and stuff. And I wanted to try to avoid that this year. I'm not opposed to a JV team in the future, but what I really wanted to do right now is focus on, the 23 girls that I have right now to start building this program. Okay. Especially with some of my seniors who are on the team. There, I believe it's like, I think it's 5 or 6 seniors I have on the team. That's a good chunk of the girls, Anna Lee is the only freshman I had come out who made the team. So, I really want to get these freshman girls involved in that kind of stuff because I want to build the team. Now I've got a lot of 10th graders, which is great. 11th graders, they'll be there next year. But right now, I'm trying to keep the numbers low because I don't want to have to charge the girls a fee to do this sport. I think that would be more appropriate in a year or two, once the team has a foundation and we could start running a JV team properly, if you know what I mean.
How is, like, are we going to have to provide transportation? Or are we going to be able to get buses? I know buses are very expensive right now.
Yeah, well, how it works with Hamilton County schools is that most of the time, parents have to provide the transportation. Even football games, a lot of times, sometimes they have buses, sometimes they don't. But all the other sports like soccer, softball, wrestling, basketball, either the kids carpool, they ride with the coach, or the parents take them. It just depends on work schedules and that kind of stuff. So yeah, most of the girls drive themselves or parents drive. So yeah, the buses are outrageous.
Yes, it's. We had to pay one 2 years ago to take a playoff game, and I remember the quarterback club told me how much the bill was, and I was shocked.
I would hate to think. There was a time, couple field trips and stuff in my past, I tried to do buses. The only way we could afford it is because so many students were going, because it made it a low cost, but it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all.
Coach, can we get you back and also maybe a couple of girls before the season starts and just follow up?
I think that would be great. I think that would be wonderful. So if you can give me enough notice, I can work it out with the girls and we can figure something out.
Absolutely. Phil, you got anything to follow up?
Yeah, because I think that's a good thing, Coach. Because these young ladies, it gives them a lot more to do, and like what Randy's talking about with Annalie, it gives her something to look forward to. I think sometimes our young people now get caught up in living for the moment and not too concerned about the future. If you give them something to look forward to, start thinking a little bit on the positive side, and I think that's good. Are there, and that's one thing I want to lead up to. Are there certain goals? I know you're not going to sit here and say we want to win this many games, but are there certain goals you have set for this team to try to accomplish?
Yeah, I want to have a winning season. I would love to have this. I'm not going to say how many games that would be or whatever. I would like to have a winning season. But overall, what I want to see is I want to see these girls go out and give 100% every game. I want to see them give 100% in practice. And I want to see the foundation built that we can have a winning team. And I want that attitude to be inherited by the next generation year after year after year. I want to make sure that I set up expectations that are achievable, but that will push these young ladies, and help them grow. Those would be my goals right now. I want to make sure, especially, and it's like, I don't want to say there's a lot of pressure to get this off right. I don't say that I feel that from the admin or the community, but I do feel responsibilities to these young ladies, the school and the community, to make sure that this program is set up right, it gets off to a good start, and that we can keep rolling with it for a long, long time, long after I'm gone. So I think setting those foundations, that's a goal. But part of that is instilling a winning attitude into these young ladies too. So that's it.
Well, Coach, I've enjoyed the conversation. I wanted to ask you challenging questions like this because, like Randy says, I kind of sort of go off the. Yeah, I'm interested in winning and losing, but I'm also, interested in, how these kids are going to perform, not just on the field but in life. And I'm interested in how much interest a coach takes in these young ladies because winning is important. It's probably the most important thing, but it's not everything.
Right. And I agree with that. It feels good to win. It does. But I also want to see these ladies grow. I want to see their confidence grow, their talent, and that they can get out there and they can compete, and they can do this.
100%, Coach. And we're here to support you, and we throw our support behind it. Again, everybody that's looking, on the bottom of our screen right now is the give back number. Also on River City Media, I'm also going to post a schedule. Those will all be pinned to the top for throughout the season. I am thrilled with the direction of the program, and Phil, you might have to come up and just watch some games with me then.
Well, if I could end on this note, I want to put a plug out there. So on November 2nd, we're having our first jamboree from 10 to 1 o'clock at Ooltewah High School. All the teams will be represented. We will play 20-minute halves. We'll all play several teams, Hixson, Saudi, all the schools in Hamilton County. I think Heritage High School and Bledsoe may come up and come down too. So it's from 10 to 1, Ooltewah High School, come out. The great thing about this is that once Ooltewah has paid for the refs and their fees, all of the gate is split up between all of the schools. So the more people come out, the more you can support the program. And also, you'll make it home in time for the Georgia-Florida game, and you'll also be home in time for the Kentucky-Tennessee game. So it's a win-win. You get a great day of football, flag football, college football, everything. So,
hey, Coach, I won't say this, but in our house, we had a little girl wondering if we could make it to Knoxville for the Kentucky game. So I will assure her that we'll still make it in plenty of time.
Yeah, I heard that story. I'm not going to say I didn't hear that story. And as of yesterday, when I spoke to her, I did not know the time. But we had a meeting last night on Zoom, and we were told that we all unanimously, all the coaches, almost unanimously voted for the 10-1 spot because of all the games that are happening in the afternoon. So, like, I think he wanted to do it at night, and we were like, nobody's going to come. It's Tennessee, Kentucky. It's a blackout game. You got Georgia and Florida playing. I mean, 10-1 is the sweet spot. It's not too early, not too late. Everybody's home for the game.
Yeah, I think the way that goes, Coach, in Alabama and Tennessee, it's the same way. Friday night is high school football, and Saturday's college football, and you better not interfere with any of it.
Any of it? No, exactly. Yeah. Not at all. So,
yeah.
Coach, last thing, these girls love football. I can tell you in our home, my daughter loves football. She loves every aspect of it. She loves playing. She loves watching. I think people get the misconception these girls don't love sports just like boys.
Oh, that's so false. Okay, so little history about me. I'll probably make both of you. Anna Lee came in yesterday with the Beat Gators Cup. Yeah, that doesn't fly with me. I don't want to see that anymore. I know we've had some down years, but it can happen. But it's not going to happen this year. But I married to go into that. I married a Tennessee girl who bleeds orange. So not this weekend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Obviously, I was not happy with the outcome of the game. But she is. Oh my gosh, she's so competitive. My wife, especially with football, it's unbelievably competitive. She loves it. She's out here shouting, yelling, everything. I'm like, are you okay? Like, more than me. It's unbelievable how much these girls get involved in football. It's great.
I might have had one of your players this weekend with a candy cigar in Neyland Stadium. So
okay. Hey, it's okay. It's all good. I can take it.
Hey, but she inhaled enough secondhand smoke to last a lifetime, though.
That's okay.
Anything you need, Phil and I here for you. Folks, please support our young ladies. They need you right now worse than any time in their life. Support these young ladies. They're 14 to, Coach, I think 17, or do you have some 18-year-olds?
17, a couple, one or two maybe turning 18 before the end of the school year,
Critical ages for our young ladies. Let's support them. Let's treat them with respect that we would any other sport. And that's all I've got. Phil, you got anything to finish?
No, I've just enjoyed the conversation. It's going to be interesting to watch a little flag football. Maybe it'll expand down here where we're at, and I'm sure it will over time. Because it's a great sport, and maybe we'll start seeing it at a lot of the junior colleges.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
November the 2nd at Ottawa High School, starting at 11, correct, Coach?
10 o'clock, 10 to 1 o'clock.
We are going to do live drop-ins from 10 to 1 here on RiverCity-Media, just giving some score updates. Might even try to interview a few coaches and players over there that night. So look for us too. Good night. God bless. Thank you for watching this video. Give below. Do it. Thank you.
Thank you.